My name is Shizue, and at 32 years old, my parents kicked me out of the car and left me alone at a gas station while the rest of the family went to Disneyland. Just take the bus home, my mom snapped. I did this instead. 10 years later, they are still begging me to return and save them. If you have ever felt betrayed by the people who should have been your biggest supporters, let me know where you are watching from. I used to believe in magic, not the card trick kind or the Harry Potter kind, but the real kind that happens when your whole family finally agrees on something, and your parents don't fight during dinner, and your little brother doesn't break your stuff for fun. The kind of magic that makes big, impossible things like going to Disneyland suddenly feel like they could actually happen. I had been counting down the days, literally. I had a little calendar in my closet, hidden behind my shoe rack, where no one would see it and make fun of me. I circled the date in gold pen. I wrote Disney in all caps with 3 exclamation marks. It was the kind of thing you don't even dare get excited about, in case the universe hears you and changes its mind. I was 12, and this was going to be the first real vacation we'd ever taken as a family. Well, first for me. My older sister had gone to Vegas with our aunt once. My younger siblings had a trip to Legoland a few years earlier when I was grounded for talking back after asking why I was the only one doing dishes. But this time it was all of us together. That's what they said, anyway. I had to earn it, though. My mom made a list that looked suspiciously like her own to-do list, then told me it was mine if I wanted to prove I deserved the trip. Clean out the garage, organize the pantry, watch the twins every Saturday so she could run errands, he'd disappear for 3 hours, and come back with Starbucks and a mysterious new haircut. I did it all, even when my brother sprayed ketchup all over the garage floor after I just cleaned it. Even when my little sister poured cereal on the dog. I just cleaned and kept my mouth shut because Disneyland was the prize at the end of this game show, and I wasn't about to get voted off the island. The morning of the trip, I was up before everyone else. My bag had been packed for 3 days, repacked twice just in case. I had snacks, a disposable camera, sunscreen, and a tiny bottle of hand sanitizer. Because my mom once said you couldn't touch anything at Disneyland without catching a stomach bug you'll regret. We loaded up the car. I got the middle seat, of course, because I was the smallest, which wasn't even true, but arguing wasn't worth it. I pressed my backpack against the window and tried to look happy and non-threatening. That was my secret strategy for surviving family outings. Don't make waves, don't ask questions, don't get noticed. The first hour went okay. My siblings fought over a juice box. My dad yelled about the GPS. My mom said she had a headache and put in her earbuds. In other words, standard family road trip vibes. Then we pulled off at a gas station, one of those dusty ones on the edge of nothing, where the bathrooms are locked and the snack aisle has more jerky than sense. "We're stopping for gas," my dad muttered. "Everyone out, stretch your legs," my mom added. I slid out of the car, careful not to knock my little brother's foot, which apparently would have been a federal offense. I didn't even complain when my older sister took the last of the Gatorade and told me to deal with it. I stood near the front of the car, looking around, waiting. They didn't get out. "Is it the engine raft?" I frowned. "Are you guys just pulling up to the pump, or—" My mom rolled down her window halfway. "You're staying here." "What?" "We'll be back," she said, voice flat. "Just take a minute and think about how you've been acting." I blinked. "We don't have time for another meltdown, Shizue," my dad cut in. "Get your attitude together." And then they drove off. I stood there, frozen, trying to process what had just happened. At first, I genuinely thought it was a joke. Like, haha, you left your kid at a gas station, classic family prank. But 5 minutes passed, then 10. I walked inside the little store pretending to browse gum. The guy behind the counter gave me a weird look. He had long hair pulled into a ponytail and a name tag that said Jake in permanent marker. "Hey," he said eventually. "You Shizue?" I stopped mid-step. "Yeah. Your mom just called. He said you know which bus to take. Told me to give you this." He handed me a turkey sandwich and shrink wrap and a warm bottle of Sprite. I stared at them, like they were evidence in a crime scene, which I guess they kind of were. "They're not coming back?" I asked, like maybe I'd misheard. Jake gave a one-shouldered shrug. Didn't sound like it. The next few minutes were a blur. I stepped outside again. The sun was brutal. The plastic wrapper on the sandwich felt hot and greasy in my hands. There was a tiny covered bench near the edge of the lot where the bus stop sign was. I sat there and stared at the posted schedule like it was written in ancient code. One bus route went home. I recognized the name of the stop near our street. Another went somewhere else, not far, but not home. I thought about my room, the one I shared with my little sister, the one with the peeling posters, and the crooked dresser, and the lock that never worked. I thought about coming back and pretending like this didn't happen, pretending like this was just another punishment, another lesson, another way to remind me I wasn't the good kid. And I thought, no, just that. Oh, I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I just sat there, still holding that damn turkey sandwich, and waited for the right bus. Not the one that went home. The other one. The one going somewhere else. The one that meant I wasn't playing this game anymore. Because even at 12, I knew that if people show you exactly how little they value you, you don't stay to give them a second chance to prove it. I stepped onto the bus, handed the driver a crumpled $5 bill from the bottom of my backpack, and took a seat by the window. I didn't look back, and I didn't go home. Not that day, not ever. Not. You'd be surprised how quiet a bus can feel when your entire life has just cracked in half. I sat by the window and watched dry trees flick past, holding that sad little sandwich in my lap like it was going to explain something to me. I didn't eat it. I didn't cry either. Not because I wasn't sad. I just didn't want to give the universe the satisfaction. The truth is, I wasn't shocked they left me. Not really. I was 12, old enough to know what it means when your family's love comes with conditions, and mine always did. Clean the kitchen, maybe you get dessert. Watch the twins without attitude, maybe you don't get grounded. Be invisible, maybe you don't get yelled at. I don't think there was a moment I realized I was the scapegoat. It wasn't a big reveal, more like 100 tiny, sharp moments that eventually connect into a picture you can't unsee. Like when my brother flooded the upstairs bathroom and blamed it on me, and no one even asked for my side. Or when I got an A on my science project, and my mom said, "Don't act like you're better than everyone." Or when my older sister borrowed my birthday money, and then cried when I asked for it back. So I ended up apologizing to her. In our house, feelings were currency, and I was always in debt. There was this one afternoon, I was maybe 9, when I cleaned the whole kitchen after dinner without being asked. I was hoping for one of those rare good moods from my mom. She walked in, looked at the empty sink, then frowned. "You trying to make your sister look bad?" she said. I didn't answer. There wasn't a right answer anyway. That was the rule. If something went wrong, it was my fault. Something went right, it was still my fault, because someone else didn't get credit. And somehow I believed that was normal. The first half of the bus ride, I kept checking the window, like they'd come driving up in the car, honking and yelling, "Okay, joke's over, get in." But they didn't. Of course they didn't. Instead, I pulled out a battered envelope from the back of my backpack. I'd kept it for months, tucked inside a notebook where no one would find it. It was from my grandmother, not my mom's mom. That woman once told me I had self-pity eyes. So this was my dad's mom, Grandma Nora. She sent me a card on my birthday every year, even when the rest of the family forgot. The last one had a note in shaky handwriting. "If you're ever nearby, come visit. You always have a place here." I hadn't seen her since I was 7. She lived a couple cities over, and we didn't visit much. My mom said she was a handful. What that really meant was that Grandma Nora didn't put up with BS, and neither would I. Not anymore. I got off the bus and walked 2 miles, with a blister forming on my heel. I didn't tell her I was coming. I didn't know what I'd say. But when she opened the door and saw me, her expression flickered from confusion to horror to something quiet and warm. She didn't ask for details. He didn't need to. She just stepped aside and said, "You look hungry." That night, I slept on the couch with a warm blanket and a belly full of grilled cheese. No screaming, no slammed doors, just a grandfather clock ticking in the hallway and the distant hum of an old fridge. The next morning, over tea and a plate of sad-looking toast, she said, "Sweetheart, I love you, but I'm not exactly in shape to raise a kid." I nodded. I don't need to be raised. I just need somewhere safe. She looked at me for a long time. I think she was measuring something behind my eyes. Then she said, "Okay." She didn't hover. She didn't interrogate. She let me find my own rhythm, and I let her find hers. At first, I tried to be invisible. Old habits. I did the dishes before she asked, took out the trash, organized her pantry. She finally looked at me one day and said, "You're not an unpaid maid, you know." I said, "No, but I'm a house guest and I clean." She snorted, "Your family." And just like that, something shifted. The first time my mom called, I didn't answer. Neither did I the second time, or the third. I could see the voicemails piling up. I didn't listen to a single one. I just watched the number grow and thought, now you know how it feels to be ignored. At school, I told the counselor that I was living with a grandparent temporarily. She raised an eyebrow. I stared her down. Temporarily is a flexible word. A few weeks later, I got a job at the library shelving books. It paid peanuts, but it made me feel like I mattered. I started buying my own stuff: shampoo, pencils, lunch. It wasn't about the money, it was about not having to ask. Because here's the thing, when you grow up being treated like you owe everyone everything, earning your own anything feels like freedom. My parents sent one more message, just one. They said, "Shizue, this has gone on long enough. Come home. We can talk about everything when you're ready to apologize." I stared at that line for a full minute before laughing. Not a happy laugh, one of those hollow, stunned laughs where the absurdity hits so hard it leaves a bruise. Apologize, right? I didn't reply. Instead, I deleted the message and walked into the kitchen, where Grandma Nora was flipping through a newspaper and swearing under her breath at a crossword puzzle. 21 across, I said, pointing. It's vindication. She looked up and smirked. That's a big word for a kid. Not really, I said. I earned it. And in that moment, something crystallized in me. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was choosing who I lived with, who I answered to, who I let in, and most importantly, who I didn't. Turns out you can build a whole new life from scratch with 3 things: a stubborn streak, decent Wi-Fi, and a grandmother who doesn't ask you to earn your place at the table. Living with Grandma Nora wasn't always easy. She was 72, had arthritis in both knees, and believed that every problem could be solved with tea and a sternly worded letter. But she never once raised her voice at me, never asked me to shrink myself, never made me feel like a burden. The first year was the hardest. I had no idea how to be a normal kid, whatever that even means. At school, I kept waiting for people to yell at me for being in the wrong hallway or for breathing too loudly. At home, I over-apologized for everything: using too much dish soap, leaving the light on, existing. One night, I said sorry for finishing the last of the cereal. Grandma set down her tea and looked me dead in the eyes. "Stop that," she said. "You don't have to apologize for being hungry." And just like that, something shifted. I got used to the silence. Real silence. Not the kind that buzzes with tension, but the kind where you can hear your own thoughts. I stopped walking on eggshells. I stopped bracing for impact every time I said something with an opinion. I also started taking care of things, not because I was expected to, not because someone made a chart with stickers and punishments, just because it felt good to contribute. I vacuumed without being asked. I folded laundry. I made dinner on Friday so Grandma could put her feet up and watch her terrible detective shows in peace. She had a thing for brooding British men who solved crimes with emotional baggage and good cheekbones. When the furnace broke, I called a repair guy. When the fridge started leaking, I watched a YouTube tutorial and fixed it myself. Slowly, I became the kind of person I used to wish for: reliable, calm, capable. My family didn't go away, of course. Not straight away, anyway. They kept reaching out. Texts, emails, voicemails, sometimes angry, sometimes guilt-trippy, sometimes weirdly casual, like nothing had happened. "Your sister made honor roll. Thought you'd want to know. She still asks about you. Your room's still here, Shizue. We're all waiting for you to come home." I never answered. At first it hurt. Then it didn't. After a while, I realized the only reason they wanted me back was because they needed someone to fill the same role I'd always filled: the cleaner, the fixer, the punching bag, the one who kept the family machine running while everyone else just coasted. And I was done being the spare part in someone else's life. By the time I turned 16, I had my first real savings account. It didn't have much, but it was mine. I picked up extra shifts at the library, then started helping at a local bookstore on weekends. I learned how to budget, how to stretch pasta into 4 meals, how to file taxes without bursting into tears, mostly. I also learned how to say no. No, I can't lend you money. No, I don't want to talk about it. No, I'm not coming to Thanksgiving. Grandma backed me every time, even when she didn't fully understand why. "I don't like to speak badly about your parents," she said once, which was her way of saying, "I absolutely will if you push me. But I will say this: you don't owe them what they refuse to give you." That sentence stayed with me. Still does. When I graduated high school, Grandma took me out to dinner at the diner down the street, where the waitress always gave me extra whipped cream. She slid a little box across the table. Inside was a silver key. "Your key to the house," she said, like it wasn't already mine in every way that mattered. I almost cried, but instead I smiled, tucked it in my pocket, and told her I'd make pancakes the next morning. After high school, I started working full-time and taking classes part-time at the community college. It wasn't glamorous. I paid for everything: books, tuition, late-night snacks, heating bills. I even surprised Grandma with a new recliner for her birthday, which made her cry harder than I'd ever seen. We had our routines: Monday night crossword puzzles, Sunday grocery runs, evening tea. Always too hot, always served with unsolicited advice. Don't date boys who ask you to shrink. Never trust a man who won't eat leftovers. You're allowed to be angry, just don't let it rot you. Sometimes we argued, sometimes we sat in silence, but we were never afraid of each other. That alone made it feel like home. And then one October morning, she didn't come downstairs. I knew before I even reached her door. The funeral was small. A few neighbors, a couple of Grandma's old friends from church. The lawyer handed me a folder and said she was very clear about what she wanted. The house was now mine. No debts, no liens, just an old, creaky home with a leaky roof and hardwood floors that groaned when it rained. I was 22, and I didn't have much money, but I had something most people my age didn't: a place to call my own. Then the email started. Not from Grandma's friends, from them. First came the text. "Hey, Shizwe, heard about Nora. Sorry for your loss. We were thinking maybe we could reconnect." Then came the guilt. "I know things have been tense, but we're still family. Your sister really looks up to you." Then the bomb. She got into Cal State. "Great program, no scholarship. We're short. Could you maybe take out a small mortgage on the house? Just a little one. You wouldn't be paying it, obviously." Of course, because who else would be expected to mortgage their stability for someone else's convenience? I stared at the message for a while, not because I was tempted, just because I needed a moment to fully appreciate the audacity. They hadn't spoken to me in nearly a decade. By now their early attempts to get me back had ended a long while ago. But now that I owned property, suddenly I was important again. Funny how that works. I didn't respond, so they doubled down. First it was my mom calling, then my dad, then both together on speakerphone. "Shizwe, sweetheart," my mom said, her voice syrupy enough to give someone diabetes. "We're not asking you to give us anything, just a little help." "You're in a good position," my dad added. "You have a house. Your sister's future is on the line here." They kept saying "your sister," like I didn't remember all the time she locked me out of our shared room, then cried to our parents that I was being controlling, like I didn't remember when she flushed one of my birthday cards down the toilet and said I was too sensitive. I hung up. They tried again the next day. This time it was a group text, all of them. Parents, siblings, even my aunt, who once called me the family's moody middle mistake. "We really thought you'd want to help. This could change her life. We're not asking for much. It's not like you earned that house." That last one, that was my brother. The same brother who once broke Grandma's ceramic angel collection and blamed it on me. I blocked the number. 3 days later, they showed up. I was in the middle of repotting one of Grandma's succulents. Don't ask me why. I just needed something to do with my hands that didn't involve throwing them. There was a knock on the door, and then they were on the porch. All of them. My mom with her tight-lipped smile, my dad holding a folder like he thought this was a business meeting, and my sister standing behind them, pretending to look humble and not like the smug, golden child she'd always been. I opened the door just wide enough to lean on the frame. "Wow," I said. "All this for little ol' me." My mom launched in immediately. "We're just here to talk face to face, like a family." Was leaving me at a gas station also a family conversation? She flinched only a little. "Progress, Shizwe," my dad said, in his "you need to be reasonable" voice. "We know things got complicated, but it's been years. Your sister has this opportunity, and we don't want to see it wasted." I looked at my sister. She gave me the same tight-lipped smile our mother wore. Copy, paste. I already said no. "But why?" she said, voice soft. "You don't even need the money. You live here alone. Grandma would have wanted—" "Grandma left this house to me," I cut in. "Not to a committee, not with conditions, and not because she wanted it used as a college fund for the kid who didn't even show up to her funeral." That one landed. My sister's face hardened. "You're seriously going to throw that in my face? You're seriously going to act like you deserve anything from me?" My mom stepped in. You're being cruel. She's your sister. She's your favorite, I corrected. There's a difference. My dad, clearly tired of the dramatics, opened his folder. Look, we've already spoken to a mortgage advisor. It's a good deal. The payments would be minimal. I didn't even let him finish. I pulled out my phone and sent one text. My neighbor and good friend Lena was there in under 2 minutes. Now, you have to understand something about my neighbor Lena. She's 5'0", retired corrections officer, hair like a steel wool halo, and the kind of woman who could clear a room just by narrowing her eyes. She calls everyone sweetheart, in a tone that makes it sound like a threat. She showed up on my porch, holding a mug of tea and wearing a sweatshirt that said, "Not today, Satan." "Is there a problem?" she asked mildly. My mom turned, startled. "Excuse me, this is a family—" "This is a doorstep," Lena interrupted, "and I know whose it is." My dad raised a brow. "We're having a private conversation." Lena smiled. "Oh, good. Then you won't mind having it somewhere else." They stared at her for a bit too long, like they weren't sure if she was kidding. She wasn't. "Go," I said, before this turns into a police call. My mom looked at me like I'd slapped her. "After everything we've done for you." That was it. I laughed out loud. It was ugly and loud and cracked in the middle, but it was real. "You mean like the time you forgot to pick me up from school in the rain? Or the Christmas I got socks while everyone else got iPads? Or the time you left me at a gas station and told me to figure it out?" My sister rolled her eyes. "God, Shizue, that was forever ago." "Yeah," I said, "and I'm still the only one who paid the price." They left. Not right away. There was some huffing, a few muttered insults. My mom did the slow, dramatic turn, like she thought I might stop her. My sister whispered something that probably had the word selfish in it. My dad gave me one last look, like he was waiting for me to feel guilty. I didn't. I shut the door. Lena sat with me after, sipping her tea, like nothing had happened. "You okay, sweetheart?" "I think I am," I said, finally. That night, I made Grandma's soup recipe. Lentils, too much garlic, the way she liked it. I sat at the kitchen table and ate it slowly, feeling the quiet settle into the corners of the house. No one was coming to take it from me. No one was coming to tell me who I had to be. It wasn't just a house anymore. It was proof. Proof that I survived. Proof that I chose myself. I didn't have money to burn. I didn't have a degree from some shiny school or a family that bragged about me at dinner parties. But I had peace, and I had a front door that only opened to people who knew what love actually looked like. 10 years ago, they told me to take the bus home. I didn't, and I never will. It's been 2 years since that day on the porch. No one from my family has shown up since. Not physically, anyway. Sometimes I still get those weird, passive-aggressive emails around the holidays. Stuff like, "Hope you're doing well. Your sister just made Dean's List." As if that's supposed to crack me open like a walnut, but it doesn't. I still live in this house. I fixed the leaky roof, painted the kitchen a soft green. Got a dog. His name's Basil. He snores louder than any person I've ever met and chews exactly 1 slipper per month like it's a subscription box. I work full-time now, still study part-time. I make my own money. I pay my own bills. I live on my own terms. And every once in a while, I drive past the gas station where it all started, just to remind myself how far I've come. But sometimes, late at night, I still wonder, did I do the right thing or did I go too far? Did I protect myself or shut the door too hard on people who maybe could have changed? I don't know, but I do know this. The girl they left behind, she never would have had the guts to ask those questions out loud. And the woman I've become, she's still figuring it out. If you've ever been in a situation like this, or even close, tell me what you think. Did I do the right thing? Leave a comment. I'm listening. And if you want to hear more stories like this one, hit subscribe.